My sister is like 2.5 years in the camp. Literally, I don't know where she is. Then I heard another brother is taken to the camp, and my another uncle taken to the camp. The local government cut off all the connections between the Uyghurs who lives in overseas with the family, not only mine, like all of us.
November 2017. It was the first time that my mom was detained. She was sentenced for 7 years in prison. They are slowly killing her. They don't want to kill her directly. They just want to make her life miserable and then let me live through that, and then kind of make me an example of others who speak out against the Chinese government. Yes. Sometimes I just wish that she had already passed away so she doesn't have to suffer.
The Uyghurs, a Turkic-speaking ethnic group, are considered to be one of China's 55 officially recognized ethnic minorities. In the 18th century, the area inhabited by the Uyghurs, most of whom identified as Muslims, was conquered by the Chinese Qing dynasty and renamed Xinjiang. The Uyghurs experienced a brief period of independence in the 1940s, but China regained control after the communists took power in 1949. Since 2014, the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, has accelerated its persecution to a new level, forcing over 1 million Uyghurs into what outside observers have called concentration camps. In these camps, forced labor and re-education programs are designed to ensure adherence to the CCP's hybrid form of Chinese nationalism and Marxist communism. Prisoners must learn to be obedient communists and to forget their religion and culture and any thoughts of defying the Chinese state. Although the CCP had not allowed visual evidence of the camps to be published, a few photos and videos have been smuggled out of these concentration and work camps.
What's really troubling is, they call these Uyghur workers badges. They say they have 500 or 300 workers available to be hired in 15 days. They can be delivered within a week or 2 weeks, and then they can withstand hardship, and they promise if you hire these workers, there will be no staff loss.
More recently, the CCP has been transporting Uyghurs all over China, including to the country's manufacturing belt in the east, to work in factories supplying some of the world's biggest brands. The U.S. State Department announced sanctions on a number of tech companies, including Huawei, for involvement in human rights abuses against Uyghurs. Additionally, China has used Xinjiang as a testing ground for digital surveillance. Other techniques, including forcing Uyghur women to marry men from the ethnic majority Han population, forced sterilization, and many other types of torture, have caused most independent analysis of the Uyghur situation to call the actions of the CCP nothing short of a cultural genocide. For the more than 1 million Uyghurs living in the diaspora, most of whom have had family members forced through re-education camps, the threat of CCP retaliation for speaking out adds to the daily concern for family members living in China. Furkat Jaudat is from the Xinjiang Province, but has lived with his wife and children in the United States since 2011. Although Furkat's father and other family members were allowed to leave China, his mother was never issued a passport by the Chinese government, despite having been given a visa by the U.S. government to move to the United States.
It's been almost 15 years right now that she got separated from her husband. And then the last time I saw her face-to-face was in 2010, September. So it's been more than 10 years right now. So since then, she has been living by herself in our old apartment. So it kept going until November 2017. It was the first time that my mom was detained. She sent a message on WeChat saying that she's going to the school and then she might gonna stay there for 2 weeks or longer. But she asked us not to worry. So we lost the complete contact with her for 22 days. After that, she came back, but she changed completely. She became really quiet, scared, and then she said that we cannot call her anymore. We cannot talk as usual as before. On February 6th, I woke up to see a voice message from her where she said they are taking her again for the second time. She asked us not to worry about her, asked us to study and work harder, and asked me to take care of my family, my sisters. But at the end, she said that she doesn't know if she can come back or when she can come back. After a month, on March 5th, 5 people from my father's side, they were all detained in the same day. Like my father's older sister, her husband, their married son, and then my father's younger brother and the youngest brother's son.
After years of watching his mother and other family members imprisoned, released, and imprisoned again, Furkat decided the only hope for his family and other Uyghur victims was to break his silence and to expose the CCP's crimes against humanity.
Every time when I speak out or when I give interview to like some major news outlets, I get indirect threats from the Chinese police. At one point, that they brought my aunt and then my nephew to the police station, questioned them for 48 hours. They showed them my pictures and then asked them if they are ones that passing news or information to me, and then got them to sign a contract saying that they will cut off all the contacts with me or anyone in the US.
Kalbanor Hini moved to the US just a few years ago. She noticed that things were changing inside China during her last trip in 2016.
First thing is 2016 when I go home in the February. Everything is feel like so different. From the airport is like keep bothering me like 2 hours because of my passport rating in Uyghur. And then like once I out of the airport, they call me, the police department call me. Oh, you just arrived landing to Urumqi from Kuala Lumpur, so you need to come to the police department to report. They started threatening me like, oh, if you want to go back to study, continue to study, you need to report. That's the last time I go home. Then the things is like start to get more weird. My cousin's sister is like taken, I guess this is the first batch of concentration camp in 2016, August. My cousin's sister, she was only 21 years old. And then they say they need to be re-educated. My elder sister taken to the camp in 2018, and after I lost contact with my family.
Despite both direct and indirect threats against her and her family, Kalbanor, like Furkat, decided speaking out was the only chance her family had at freedom. Unfortunately, the long reach of the CCP's influence over foreign governments, the media, and large international corporations has allowed the Chinese government to only intensify their persecution. Despite this, both Kalbanor and Furkat believe the United States, more than any other nation, is their last and best hope.
I am really grateful for this country because I think this is the only country who still care about human rights and human life. I was so naive to think that in the beginning, Muslim country will be care about it. But it's no. Most of the countries, it's care about that. Interest, trade, money. And this is, I think, something to do with the value that not all the country have that kind of like education, that value put in the people. But United States have, Western countries like Europeans, they have it. At least they care about value of freedom, value of life, human life.
The Uyghurs, we really appreciate the US government. This is the only government, this is the leading voice on the global stage, voicing against the Chinese government.
The CCP's aggressive persecution is not slowing down. Recently, Kalbanor was given shocking news about her sister.
My sister, Rana Gulghani, she was falsely detained to Chinese concentration camp in 2018. But unfortunately, recently, I learned that my sister gets sentenced to 17 years for prison. For 7 years because she prayed when our father passed away in 2013. And another 10 years extra given to because she kept the Quran, that our religious book in Islam. That's how they inform my family. My sister gets 17 years sentence. This is only can happen in China. For 17 years just because of just prayed and also like having a Quran, that personal possession. This is like literally unacceptable. What is Chinese doing? What is CCP doing?
The Uyghurs are just one of the many ethnic, religious, and political minority groups that have been devastated at the hands of China's Communist Party, but they won't be the last.
On the bigger picture, the Uyghurs will not be the first nation or the last one. In the beginning, they were just like for 15 days, some political training or some education classes as they claim. And then later on, they start banning the hijabs and then the beard and then the t-shirts or the clothes with Turkish flag. So they did step by step, and then they lock up people like level, group by group. Like they start from the villages and then the working class and then the higher level, the government officials, the police. It is well planned, it just didn't pop up in one day. And then the similar things start happening on the Hong Kong right now, and then the Inner Mongolia as well, and then Tibet. It won't stop here. I think what we learn in elementary is that's the direction that they are going. Like they should not be the Islam or the Christianity or the Buddhism or any other religion in China, except the religion that you can believe in is the Communist Party and your God is Xi Jinping.